Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. This is Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson here to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, everybody knows out there the J Lounge is where we talk with celebrities. It's a celebrity-based podcast show where we talk with singers, actors, directors, you name it. They all come down here and they all have a wonderful time. I am super excited for my next guest that is here today. You guys might remember him. He was on here about a year ago, and he had amazing stories for us. And actually, his interview last year was actually one of the highest interviews that I've done. So he is back again to tell more great stories and, of course, talk about more of his work. Everybody, please give a warm welcome to Anand Bhatt. Hi.
What's going on, Simone? How have things been in the past year?
Oh my goodness, it's been good. It has been good. We have been just pumping out interviews, going to different events here in Seattle, which I'm hoping to one day see you. But yeah, everything has been doing great. How have you been the past year?
I can't believe this past year just blurred by. It's been action-packed, like a game of whack-a-mole. But in a good way, mostly. But it's been action-packed.
It has. It's been crazy. And can you believe we're about to enter 2025? I can't.
No, I can't, because in my head it's 2022 somehow.
Thank you.
It's right.
I hope it wasn't the only one. I was like, am I the only one stuck in 2022? Oh my gosh.
It's like time stopped in 2022, right? The calendars keep turning over, but.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy, but you're right. But I want to go to the first question for you, Anand. Since the last time we spoke, what new music have you made?
Oh man, been cranking them out. I love these projects that are coming out. So, All right, let me try to explain this without completely overwhelming your listeners who don't know what's going on. All right, so I've got like a 4-part new album series in the work that's coming out in phases. 3 out of the 4 are out, and as you can imagine, that's a crazy amount of tracks. And you know what had happened was, as I was looking, I had new stuff due. I'm newly on Universal Music and Virgin Music and stuff like that, and I had new stuff due. And I'm looking at my hard drives. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have like, since COVID or maybe before, had like 40 or more unfinished songs, right, that were just sitting there. I'm like, wow, I better get to it. so that's basically what I was doing, right? I'm like, and I kind of like them all, right? As we're working on them, there's a whole team working on them, right? It's not just me, but so since then, what has come out is the first one that came out was an album in Spanish called Juntos.
Ooh.
And that is full on Spanish. It is my usual Latinian style, Latin pop, kind of tropical fun. It's all fun romantic music. And then shortly after, about a month after that, the album Stronger Together came out, which is in English. It's a normal English album. Since most of my fans, I know my fans are kind of split half and half on what languages they speak, right? So, but one of these days I can merge everybody into one product. That would be awesome. But so Stronger Together came out, and it's the usual, again, Latinian style, but it's in English, so it sounds more soca and island themed.
Oh, love it.
And then, yeah, it's fun. And then, so there was so many cool, those other songs, more and more kept coming out and more of them getting done. So, and then the third one, which just dropped, I want to say probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and is kicking butt. I was almost say kicking. I can't remember if I'm allowed to swear on.
You are.
I'm one of those. Oh, okay, because I'm one of those few people left that swear. I keep running into young people and they don't swear at all. It weirds me out.
I am like Popeye. I swear all the time. So don't.
Awesome.
I'm terrible.
Right?
I'm terrible with it. I am like such a sailor. It's so bad. Go on.
That's great. That makes me feel very comfortable because I keep running into people who don't swear, or when they do, it just sounds weird, like they're not doing it right, right? So I'm very glad because it is my normal self to not censor myself language wise. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, right? So like that's every word we said was F this and that, right? That's just how we speak.
Yeah, no,
So,
I got you.
right,
You're good. You're good. but it
Anyway,
definitely
so that
yeah,
third album is kicking ass, right? I'm allowed to
good.
say it on your show, thankfully, right? Out the gate, I was really happy with it because it was a little more subdued. It's more, and that's another English one, and that one is Unidos, Stronger Volume 2, and then I'm hoping in the next month or so it'll be done, and then that'd be that fourth one in the volume, which will be another bunch of Spanish songs that come out, and so as you mentioned, it's a lot, quite a bit.
That's awesome, though. I'm glad that all your songs are kicking ass. That is amazing. I love. I am a huge fan of Latin music. I think it's one of the best songs, and I'm sorry, songs, best music to be able to dance to and kind of work out at the same time. I work up a sweat
Totally.
dancing to Latin music all the time. I'm like, whoo, I need some water. I need some oxygen. I need a new lung.
Totally.
Oh, good lord, because it's just that type of music. So I'm glad to see you're pumping that out, and I'm glad to see that it's going well. That is even better to hear. It's always better when the music's charting. So that's awesome. Going on to the next question, what new projects are you currently working on?
Oh, well, that's a great, that flows very well. Your questions flow very well. So as we're saying, so I'm finishing up that fourth. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I'm done with those songs. Is as you imagine, spend all that time working. Like I'll have this like dead space in my life. It must be what people with kids feel like when the kids move out of the house. So I think that's what's gonna happen. So I'm kind of procrastinating it, to be honest with you. Even though I'll get all fired up and I want to finish these songs because this new we haven't even come up with a name for this fourth volume yet. But you know, I mean, they're fun to work on, and I've been jamming out to a lot more Afro pop lately, so I can tell those influences are bleeding into my. They're kind of bleeding into my Latin music, so everything's kind of reggaeton meets Bollywood meets Afro pop at this point, right? And
I'm loving it.
I dig it. I'm really excited. It might be a little jarring when this fourth volume comes out, but so to be honest, I'm kind of procrastinating, so I don't, barf everything out at once, and I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm done. So, I think I'm going to stall that one another few weeks or another month or so before I turn it in, just so I get to keep working on it a little bit.
Yes, that is awesome that you're getting into a little more Afropop. That's awesome. Afropop
is like my favorite genre lately.
It has been a boom lately the past couple of years, and I'm like, yes, finally, people are recognizing it because the beats are. Oh my gosh, I go crazy.
Oh, they're mind blowing,
yes,
right?
Yes, I go crazy as soon as I hear. I'm like, oh, wait a minute now.
and those background vocals. Wait till you hear the background vocalists on my last two albums because it's so Afro poppy, right? I can't stop. I'm like, this choir needs to sing throughout the song. Like yes. I can't not have it because it's just so. And production wise, I think I've learned a lot. I don't know how it's happening, but stuff coming out of Nigeria and South Africa right now, I think are game changing production wise.
Yes, and I'm thinking like it's about time.
Shocking. It's shocking. You're just like, wow, this is just like they've raised the bar, and you don't expect Nigeria or South Africa to pop it like. Like talking Seattle, like that's usually the textbook thing is in the 90s, Seattle came out and changed how things work. And I don't think people realize, and then it was Sweden with pop and all that stuff. And
yes.
I don't think people realize how what Afropop's doing right now.
No. You're right. They don't. It's still sometimes slept on, but right now it is having a rise over the past couple of years. I want to say maybe since maybe before COVID or even like maybe during COVID, Afropop has been just getting this huge boom lately. And it's like, yes, because of the beats. And like you said, the vocals can be just absolutely gorgeous. So when your new song comes out, share a snippet with me and hear the J Lounge because I would love to hear it. Love to hear it.
For sure. And you'll hear a lot of it and you will hear a lot of the influence on the album that just dropped a couple weeks ago. So if you go that, and if you go to my Spotify or YouTube Music actually has been pushing it, I think. If you go to those and then actually sort by I guess album date or whatever, then that newest one, that Unidos Stronger Volume 2, you'll be able to hear that transition over the last year of going from like my soca roots and Latin reggaeton roots. And how you'll be able to hear it between the background vocalist and those beats because it's just I can't stop listening to it.
Oh my
So,
goodness, I'm so excited. I am so excited. Uh, so going on to my next question, Anand, last time you were here, you told a great story about Stevie Wonder, and I do believe you also told a great story about how you also met Usher at the same time. Do we have any more stories on hand?
oh, of course. Let me see. I know the publicist was had some call. I don't want to embarrass anybody. Oh, you know what? I'll embarrass myself. You know what? There's one story that she doesn't want me to tell that is an absolute, and it's good for me to tell this story because it's me making a complete ass of myself. So, uh, so I will tell this story. And this was a while ago. This is not a recent story, thankfully. So I'm young. I was younger at the time, which is my caveat on why I was so stupid. All right,
I
so
love it.
yeah. So we're with our friends. I'm with my friends. Most of them guys. So you already see where this is going. Mostly guy friends, and we're in like Huntington Beach. I think we're at somewhere in
Ooh,
LA.
okay. Huntington Beach,
and
California.
and we're there, and on this beach is so this is kind of hard to describe. This rarely happens. There is one woman on this beach, and this is a full beach that's I swear she's glowingly beautiful, right? Like unbelievable. Like everyone's noticing her, and you notice her from far away. Like you're just like, what? Right? Like she's that like stood out over everybody else on the beach, right? Right. So of course, as guys, we're all talking about it and we're all joking. We're young enough where everyone's like teasing each other on who's going to go approach her, right? As guys do. And and of course, right? And we're idiots, especially when we're young, right? I mean, when you're older, it's just so effortless, for lack of a better word, right? Like if you're attracted to somebody, next thing you know, you're talking to her. You don't. There's none of that. That in between, everything seems to happen in hindsight when you're older, right? Because you're just used to it.
Yes, it does.
Right, but when you're in like when you're younger, guys are idiots, right? And so we put each other into stupid situations just to see what happens. So, anyways, everyone's machoing themselves around about who's going to go talk to her, and everyone's just like coming up with excuses on why they're not going to. And me, I have no shame. so I was like, screw you guys. While you guys are talking about this, I need to go see that woman up close, right? So I'm already walking over there, right? Of course, like guys through there watching me like it is. Every guy can relate to this. I don't know why guys do this to each other when they're young, right? They're like, we'll watch each other be human. It's the stupidest thing ever, right? And yeah, I do not miss being a young man at all. It's just an insufferable experience. Testosterone in the human body is like putting rocket fuel in a lawnmower. It's so unnecessary. And so of course I go up to there, but I'm young. I have no game. I have no game at this point.
At least you're
right?
honest.
I have no game at this point. I had no plan. I had nothing. All I know is this woman is beautiful. My friends are being idiots, and I have to live up to their, the idiot expectations of my friends as well, right?
Yep.
So I've already started walking. I can't back down, and the blood has left most of my head. So I'm not very smart, right? And so I walk up her, and I'm trying to piece together what I said to her, but it was the worst pickup line of my life.
Oh,
it was
God.
Something really, like, I don't know what came up with me, because I was actually working on stuff there, and I think I said something stupid like, do you want to star in my new video or something like that, right? It was really awful. It was really awful. No, that is what I said. That's what it was, right? So I offered, like, it was horrible. It was something like I would never actually say to anybody. Right? Like,
why would you go with the typical line?
I mean, it was so bad, right?
Oh,
and
God.
so I dropped this absolutely horrible, and obviously she has no idea who I am. It's ridiculous, right? I'm young. I'm nobody at this point. I think I'm showing up on late night TV, and that's about best at this point, right? Like, I mean, right? I think that's like, so there's very few people. It's not like I'm going on the beach and she's like, oh my God, it's Anand Bhatt. Of course, she's probably like, who is this moron talking to me about music videos, right? And so and And so I asked her, so she smiled, she was nice about it. And she's like, no, my sister would be interested in that. And she actually gives me her sister's phone number, right? And I'm like, epic fail, right? But of course I turn around, walk back to my friends or whatever. And I'm at this point proud of myself that I went and talked to her, right?
Right.
And so, and nobody else was willing to. So I'm walking back, but as I'm getting closer to my friends, they're cracking up. Like they are laughing uncontrollably.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, and then there's no way they heard the interaction. They didn't hear the stupid line that I dropped on her, right? So they're not even making fun of that yet, right? So they're just cracking up. I'm like, what is so funny?
Gosh.
All right, so here's where I figure out what happened. They're like, you idiot. That was the actress Jamie Presley. So,
stop. No. No. Please tell me you're kidding. You're kidding.
No,
you're kidding,
I'm like, kidding. Are you serious? I just treated Jamie Presley as she was just some nobody fangirl and hit on her with the worst pickup line of my life. And I mean, this is, and Jamie Presley was at her. She was quite popular.
Yeah.
right. I mean, maybe just somebody young might be listening now and they have to look her up and then they'll recognize her and look her up. But trust me, my generation, it's like,
yeah, she was.
I would have seen her on the screen several times already, right? Just didn't, just in person. There's this glow about her, and so
she was pretty much like I want to say like the early 90s, like early 2000s, like Margot Robbie, if people want to have a comparison. She was perfect. She was pretty. She was that gorgeous.
Perfect. So. Margot Robbie is that is a perfect comparison, right? So if you're young, imagine you did this stupid thing to Margot Robbie. Okay. Right? That's actually very perfect.
Be able to show your face in public again. You would be ostracized from society.
I don't like, oh my, and I don't know what I did with her sister's phone number, even if there was. I probably didn't even check it, right? But I'm like, she was cool about it, right? I think my guess was the reason she was cool is she was expecting you to say, hey, excuse me, are you Jamie Presley? Right? Can I get a picture? I'm assuming that's what she expected me to say.
Right.
But, yeah. That is
oh my goodness.
That is me accidentally hitting on Jamie Presley in the worst possible manner.
Worst possible manner. You can't get any worse. I mean, it's good that she took it all in stride, but it's like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. And wait, your friends didn't recognize that was Jamie Presley until later on?
Well, I guess not until later, right? Until it was too late. I was already over there talking to her.
Oh,
right. So
my goodness.
So by the time I walked back the other side of the beach, I mean, right. So I don't know to see them. I mean, they saw me talking to her, but they couldn't. It was far enough away where they couldn't overhear it.
Jamie Presley, the Jamie Presley.
Yeah. So they figured it out a little. Well, it was too late for me to figure it out, right? So.
It was too late for me to figure it out. Yeah, damage has already been done, so can't take it back. Oh my goodness, I can't believe you. Yeah, and you made that perfect. Just imagine if you did that to, like I said, the best comparison for Jamie Presley is Margot Robbie. Imagine if you did that to, good. You would have to go not even 6 feet under, 20 feet under. You would never be able to show your face in public. You would be known as the guy that did a wing pickup to Margot.
Dude, seriously. And I don't know if I would have been any more smooth if I knew it was her or not. I would like to know that, right? That'd be a nice, right? Go back in time. Bill and Ted style and be like, by the way, young Anand, that's Jamie Presley. And then suddenly I'm smooth. I have no idea. But, I don't think I was smooth with anybody at that age.
Was in her young, I'm pretty sure you would stutter. And who could have blamed you, honestly?
And I think she was wearing a bikini too. It was a little, she was out of control attractive that day, right? It was.
Like I said, Margot Robbie. She is the, yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. I knew you would have another colorful story. with Jamie Presley. I'm sorry, that is just perfect. That is just perfect. Uh, I want to make sure my audience I want to make sure my audience keeps up with you, your work. Where are you on social media?
Social media wise, that's also changed since I talked to you last. My Facebook
It
got
has.
hacked and I never bothered to get it back. So mostly it's kind of funny because I think the record label got involved and was harassing Facebook, and I'm like, whatever. Like, as long as they're still airing tracks and paying royalties, like, I'm perfectly fine without Facebook in my life, right? But so I'm still, and usually when brands make me, will jump on Instagram and Twitter. Believe it or not, I was shocked that Twitter is still active.
Me too. You and I both.
Yeah.
I'm slowly but surely stepping away from Twitter for good reasons. It's kind of a mess. So
yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, Twitter's still hopping. And like, I hear from brands that I still get, the fans that are clicking on stuff are still pretty on Twitter for some reason. So I'm like, that's interesting that people are. But I guess there really isn't another alternative, right? Instagram Threads was there and hardly anybody's using it.
Right. So yeah, no, I get you. So I still use Twitter every now and then, but I keep it to a minimum because it's just crazy. I do. I keep it to a minimum because it is crazy. So, and of course, I highly encourage my audience, make sure you follow Anand Bhatt, and make sure you check out more of his work and more of his great stories, because he's got a lot of them. He's got endless of them.
Well, stupid things happen to me every day. So I just gotta write them down.
I would say the same thing. So me too. So I don't find trouble. Trouble finds me. So that's all I say. Hey, I don't look for trouble. Trouble just finds me.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Going on to the next question, Anand, are there any goals you hope to accomplish in your career that you haven't yet?
Oh well. Okay, so this isn't career-wise. I'm gonna answer that question in two ways. One's gonna be not career-wise because that's on my head right now, because it's one of the reasons I'm super grateful that your show is audio only and I'm not having to sit in front of a camera. Because, well, one, I don't like sitting still, and I'm actually pacing while we're doing this interview, which is really great. I love walking around.
I get you.
Yeah, and totally. And two, right now I'm in a dirty T-shirt because I'm trying to learn how to do my own home improvement work, and this is just a stupid life goal. Again, I need to clarify for people, I'm an entertainer, and I don't want to generalize for all entertainers, but I think I can speak for at least a lot of us. We've lived kind of spoiled lifestyles. So I'm not really, fixing things around the house is not something that is a primary skill of mine. And I didn't realize this, right? And I didn't realize this until the last couple of years. Just where I'm at, there are no tradespeople left, right? It's like everybody, right? Like there's just nobody left that works with their hands, and the few that are pulling this like their movie Triangle of Sadness. They're just like they realize they're the only game in town, and they have 2-month waiting lists, and they're charging more than doctors, and it's and you can't blame them, right? If you know how to fix a deck or do plumbing, good for you. You're one of the last few people left in the world who can do these things, or at least in the United States, right? And so I've actually learned the hard way. I'm like, well, I'm gonna just have to figure out how to do all this stuff. I can't keep relying on a non-existent workforce. So anyway, so that's actually a major, I know it's not career-wise, but it's actually a life goal of mine that I'm actually hoping to learn and actively doing right now before this interview. Like this T-shirt is so dirty, and I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad at it. I keep like injuring myself and messing things up and having to redo things. But I guess that's how you learn, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a great goal to have, because really it's a realistic goal to do, really. And I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to.
Good. I hope so. I was afraid most people would just be laughing their butts off because everyone knows how to do this stuff anyway, right? Except for musicians. I have no idea if that's how it works, so.
Yeah. No, that is That is realistic. That is realistic. So, and I think that's a better goal than, saying like, uh, hoping to win an Oscar one day or, something like that. It's a lot
Yeah,
more
no,
realistic.
no.
And it's a
Yeah,
goal
especially
that
the older I get, the less I care about any of that, right? I think career-wise, what it would be is to be able to hit a point in my career where I can where if let's say I'm going on YouTube and I suddenly get into a new artist, I want to be one of those people who can snap my fingers and be like, I want to record a song with that artist, call the label and it happens. I guess that would be
yeah, that would be great.
A goal. I don't even know anybody who's in that position though, but like speaking of Afropop, like I don't know how to pronounce his name, Rima did that, right? He remade one of his songs with Selena Gomez, right? And it was a big crossover hit, even though I hate to say this, even though his original was better. But
yes, I got you. No, I completely understand.
Right. But I mean, because there's a lot of stuff they messed up with that remake. They didn't even pay attention to lyrics, but I don't know if I'm the only one who would realize that. But anyways, there's that happens, right? Like if suddenly Latin-wise, I hear the new Karol G song and I say, hey, you know what? I want to collab with Karol G on something. I want to be able to call somebody up and have that happen by the end of the week. Right?
She's been blowing
I think that would be awesome.
The past couple of years. She's really, I honestly have to say, when it comes to a lot of growth, I've been really impressed by Karol G's growth. This is the girl that used to sing, sing in the shower. Now she's, headlining major tours and all that kind of stuff, and good for her.
Yeah, and getting better every year.
Yes.
Her live performances are just, you're like, wow, just getting better every year.
You guys would do great on a song. That would be,
I would think of that. That would be popped in my head.
Yeah,
because she's got that kind of those intonations, those Latindian style intonations in a lot of her songs already, right? So
exactly.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
I hope y'all can get that together. Let's start, making some music. Let's get it going.
Maybe somebody's listening. I think if I call the label now and be like, hey, let's set something up with Karol G, they'll be like, oh, all right, good luck with that, Anand. Like, we'll park a phone call on behalf for you, but
I love it.
Right? Like, I don't know what kind of response I'd even get. I should ask just to see what kind of response I'd get.
Honestly, you should, just to see, because you never know. Honestly.
Like, will they laugh in my face, or will they just be all polite about it and be like, oh, let's see what
you gotta deal with it, and you gotta let me know how it goes. I have to know how that goes.
They're so polite with me, which is great, right? Because I'm not the easiest person to work with. I fly off the handle on some things every now and then. I try to be as cool as possible, but there's little things that trigger me. Like, like once one of the reps, somebody on the team, just mistook. It was accidental on his part. I should actually apologize publicly on the air for this. It was accidentally his part. He just mistook that, Caribbean English. He mistook it as not being English at all, and he was complaining about the metadata and wasn't putting it because I had marked down English, because you have to fill out forms when you turn in your music. And so I had marked out that, yes, this is in English, but I'm saying gal instead of girl, right?
Right.
And so he saw that and he's like, oh, this looks like gibberish to me. And he's like, there's no way this can be English. And little things like that will cause me to
I understand.
Right? Like, I mean, that's a kind of a trip, right? Little things would be like, that's some, I flat out, I said, wow, I wasn't an asshole about it, but I was pretty firm that, like, this is some racist bullshit right here. Right?
Like, I get it. I
for you to not
understand.
know, right? For you to not know that brown people might speak a different type of English is some racist bullshit.
It is.
And so they're super apologetic and awesome about it, I think, and they made that guy personally apologize to me. And I do think it was an innocent mistake on his part. It was a matter of ignorance and not malice, right? Which still falls under racism, right? I still find, I think a lot of people will agree and get upset about that, but I still, ignorance and malice are two different types of racism, but they still fall under the same thing, at least with me emotionally, right? So little things like that, but they were so nice about it and polite. I'm like, oh man, it's kind of I don't know if that's a sign of the great label or just where I am in life, but either way, like I was like, wow, that's kind of cool that they were cool about it. So I'm kind of hard to deal with. So that's why I'm kind of curious if I just like ask them like, hey, set something up with Carol G this week, right? I want to know, I'm like, will they be like, okay, will they pretend like they're doing it for me? Right? Like, I have
Like, oh
no idea,
yeah,
right?
yeah, we're certainly
Right?
getting
I have
this set
no
up for
clue.
you. We got
Or
you with
will
the
they just be
camera and
like, no,
everything.
dude, that's like, you've crossed the line.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. Like, yeah, yeah, we're definitely putting you on the calendar right now. And this is when it's gonna be. Oh my goodness. Oh, all right. I'm going to go on to the last question here. We're going to wrap up our interview here. So going on to the last question. What have been some of the best and most rewarding moments in your career?
Oh, that's a good question. Because that's pretty hard to decide on. Because there's different types of rewardings, right? And unfortunately,
Yeah.
all of them are fleeting. I think that's why we keep working. It's so funny. You work your butt off for months to feel good for like 3 days. It's all over and you got to start all over again. But that's kind of
Right.
how that's how it works. That's how creative stuff works, I guess. The work to reward ratio is pretty out of whack. But I think, there was this moment it might have been my first Latin Grammys. And I think usually when it feels rewarding is when I have no expectation of it whatsoever. I think that's the correlation there.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't know, because you just feel like you're just a person, right? Because you're always in your own skin. You don't really pay attention. You get your noses to the grindstone. You don't really pay attention to any, the fruits of your labor, right? Like you're just doing it. I mean, usually when you do it, you're either thrilled or disappointed, right? So it's probably smart not to pay attention to them, right? But there's this time I think it was my first Latin Grammys, first or second, and there's this point where it just turned the corner into the main, because the carpet's set up in different sections. It's a long red carpet, and there's a press section, and then there's like a big open section where stock photographers and AP and all the magazines and stuff are there to take pictures. Like there's the photo walls section, and then there's the section where you have to stand on 3 different spots and get your picture taken by whatever photographer signed up. And then there's this point where you just like, you did a bunch of stuff, and I just turned the corner. And what they do is they announce your name before you come in, and that's mainly for the photographers to be able to put things down on a slate or something like that, and make note of who they're photographing. And so, so I turned the corner, and after they announced my name, and a bunch of people started screaming, right? And I'm like, wow! Like I did not expect within industry Latin fan response.
Yeah.
Like that, right? Like you're just doing your gig. And I mean, if you look by your numbers, because everything's numbers and analytics, so you never put 2 and 2 together. And they're always disappointing, because you're always comparing yourself to somebody else's numbers, right? So, something comes out and you're like, oh, wow, this is cool. It got X amount of streams in the first hour or something, right? It's almost meaningless. It's because it's just so numerical. But when you can when you turn the corners, actual people like who not only recognize your name but are happy to see you.
That's
right. You're just like, oh wow, like it's just not something. It's not something you expect.
You're right. It is not something you expect, and it's got to make that moment feel so much more authentic. And you're just like, wow, I'm getting this love, which I didn't expect. That's awesome. That had to be such a beautiful feeling.
Yeah, so that feeling is just like, oh, wow, this is all right. So I'm not just creating stuff for me, right? Like sometimes you have to remind yourself that, right? Like you're not just creating stuff for you. You get to connect with an audience every now and then. There are people who actually are, other than the numbers, there are actually people behind those numbers, right? So that's which is a really cool feeling.
It is. That is amazing. That is amazing. And I'm glad you shared that here with me at the J Lounge, because that is amazing. And I'm glad you were able to experience that. Kind of made you feel like a rock star, And you're like,
yeah, right. Like you're like, oh wow, this is cool.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Oh, I appreciate you coming on here a second time and showing another wonderful antidotes of your stories and your music. I'm so glad that it's continuing to go well, and I really hope that you're able to branch out with all those artists. And like I said, I would love to see you with a Afro pop artist and something
Oh
like that.
yeah.
I think that would be. Oh my goodness! I think the charts would just blow up
I
if
already,
that happened.
I already
Um,
have a list of
oh,
Afropop
good,
artists I am
good.
dying to work with right now. Right, I should actually start writing out just four of that list. Yeah, I already have a list. There's at least four Afropop artists that are charting right now that I would love to work with. They're so good, right? Yeah, I hope, I hope,
Oh.
I hope that power falls into my lap where I can actually snap my fingers and collab with somebody.
Yes, let's
Because they will be
hope.
on the top of that list. They and a couple soca artists in Trinidad are going to be on the top of that list.
Oh my gosh. Let's speak that into existence. Let's hope that happens because, yeah, I'm telling you, the charts will blow up. And like I said, Afropop's been having a moment. So to be able to link up with that, and that would be great. That would be amazing. Um, But also, I want to highly encourage my audience. Make sure you follow on all of social media. Check out his work, and of course, just give him a shout out, give him some support because we want to see more of him and want to hear more of his stories as well. But I want to thank you, Anand, for being an amazing guest. I appreciate you for giving me your time and coming on here. I do want to thank everybody for listening in. Of course, you know, I've been your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson. I will be back to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Until then, everyone, you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll be back soon.